God can use anybody. These people that are in the Bible, these names of these people that are in the Bible, they're there for a reason. One of the greatest things that you can do is study who these people were, and study their names and the meaning of their names, because their names tell you a lot about the person themselves. I just want to encourage somebody that may think that they're not good enough, or that maybe that they have done too much. It's never too late. I want to tell you the story of Jacob. Who was Jacob? God promised Abraham that he would have a son, and Isaac is that promised seed. So Jacob is going to be the son of that promise. Okay, let me tell you about Jacob's other side. His mother name was Rebecca. Now, Rebecca had a brother that was named Laban. Let me tell you about his family history on the mother's side. He comes from a long line of deceivers. Okay, in fact, Jacob himself, his name means supplanter, which means to take someone's place, a deceiver. Let me tell you about the mother. So the mother, Rebecca, Jacob had a twin brother, which was Esau and Jacob. Okay, so Jacob, first of all, Jacob stole his brother's birthright, supplanter, right? And he stole it over something to eat, some soup, right? When it was time for Isaac to die, and in the tradition of the day, whenever the father was dying, he would bless the children, and the oldest would receive a double blessing. Okay, so Esau would have been older than Jacob. All right, so when it was time for Isaac to die, he he told Esau to go out and get him something to eat and prepare it, and then he was going to bless him. Well, when Rebecca heard this, she went and told Jacob, "Hey, your father's getting ready to bless Esau. Hey, go and get the animal, and I'm going to cook it the way that he likes it, and you're going to get the blessing instead of Esau." So understand what's happening. Rebecca is tricking her husband, and she's using her son Jacob. Jacob is the one that's going to go through with this plan to trick Isaac and receive the blessing. So when of course, there's a difference between Esau and Jacob. Esau was hairy, he was a hunter, and Jacob was not. Isaac said, "Who are you? How have you come back so fast?" And Jacob said, "Well, this is Esau." He said, "Yeah, you sound like Jacob." But he said, "Come here, let me make sure it's you." So when he got close to him, he felt him, and Jacob had put hair and stuff on him. His mother and he had put hair, so like pretty much like a costume, because they're trying to fool Isaac, because Isaac, couldn't really see. So, and when he touched him, he said, "Okay, well, you sound like Jacob, but you feel like Esau." So anyway, he gave Esau's blessing to Jacob. Okay. So when Esau came back, Esau was like, "Hey, I got the food that you sent me for." And he said, "Well, wait a minute, I've already blessed." He said, "Well, who'd you give the blessing to?" He said, "I thought I gave it to you." Right. So anyway, this was all concocted by Rebecca. So now you got to understand this, that when Isaac dies, Jacob is on the run, and he goes to his to Laban, to his mother's family. Now Laban has two daughters. All right, because I'm showing you this trickery. Okay, so Leah was the oldest, and Rachel is going to be the youngest. So when he saw Rachel, he went to Laban and said, "Hey, what do I need to give you for Rachel?" And so Laban, pay attention to what Laban said. Laban said, "Work 7 years for her." He said, "Okay, no problem." So after Jacob worked 7 years, and he on the wedding night, the next morning when he woke up, he was with Leah instead of Rachel. So Laban tricked him. Understand the family, right? So the mother was involved in trickery. Jacob was involved in trickery. Now we're seeing the uncle is the same way. So I said, "Well, why have you done it?" And so Laban said, "Well, in my country, we have a custom that the oldest has to be married first. So say if you want to marry Rachel, the one that you really want to marry, now you got to work 7 more years, and you can have her hand." So he did that. So he worked another 7 years for Rachel, the daughter that he really wanted. Now watch this. When it was time to go, Jacob said that, "Okay, it's time for me to go, with my family. Give me all that's mine so that I can leave." And Laban said, "Okay, well, what do I owe you?" So Jacob said, "I'll tell you what. I'll go through the herd, the flocks, and I'll take all of the ones that have a blemish, the brown cattle among the sheep, and the ones that were spotted and speckled, the ones with the blemishes. I'll take them for me." So Laban said, "Okay, no problem." Well, then what Jacob did is he went and manipulated the flock, the herd. He caused them to be speckled and spotted. You see? So when it was time for them to give birth, okay, he takes all of the just like they agreed upon, And basically, he tricks his uncle. So the mother, the uncle, and the nephew and son, Jacob, all of them involved in trickery. All of them are doing the same thing. So this lets you know the family that he comes from, right? Now, again, like I said, his very name meant supplanter. His very name means a trickster, right? So then what happens is he has an encounter with God. He has an encounter with God and he wrestles with this angel. Jacob says, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. So what happens is in Genesis 32 and 28, it says, and he said, thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince has thou power with God and with men, and has prevailed. So his name went from Jacob to Israel. His name went from being trickster, a supplanter, to God prevails. I need you to understand that, because here's the thing. Whenever there is an encounter with God, there will be a name change. Okay? Now, understand who Jacob was. Even though he was the son of the promise, he still had to have his own relationship with God. Okay, that's very important. So, but in the process, until he got to that point where he wrestled and established that relationship, he lived up to his name, right? He was that trickster. He was involved in the family business, the family tradition. He continued that cycle. They did it to him, he did it to them. This was the cycle. You understand that? But what I'm trying to show you is it's never too late for God to use you. God can use you. God can use anybody. So therefore, when you understand this, it doesn't matter what they call you. Because when you establish that relationship with God, God is going to change that name. And that's why we go from sinner to righteous, from evil to good. Our mindset is renewed. We receive a new mind, a new name. There are a lot of curses that are pronounced on us at birth. You understand that? It's all in the name. We've spoken curses on our family. So this is why establishing that relationship is very important. So what they know you by, what they call you doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what family you come from. So your family history does not matter, because you as the individual have to establish a relationship for yourself. The only thing that matters is what? As Jacob said, I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. I'm not going to let you go until you bless me. I need to know, yeah, I heard about my grandfather, the God that they worship. I heard about the God that my father worshiped, but I want to know that God. So I'm going to wrestle and I'm going to hold on. I'm not going to let you go until I know that God. You see? And God said that, okay, now you are no longer that trickster. You're no longer that deceiver, that supplanter. Your name now means God prevails. And from Jacob is where you're going to get the 12 tribes of Israel. They're going to come through this man that was formerly a trickster, a deceiver, a supplanter. So understand this. This is very important that you understand this important detail. Jacob was not a man of God. Israel is the man of God. That's why when you read the stories of Jacob pre-God, pre-Israel, you'll see that he's deceiving and he's doing these things that are not of God, because he wasn't of God. He didn't know who God was. He didn't have that relationship with God at that time. But once he had that encounter and that name changed from Jacob to Israel, now you see the man of God going forward, and you're going to see that his acts, his walk becomes righteous. So do you understand the difference? So again, understand God can use anybody. It doesn't matter your name, what you've done in the past. Once you repent, once you establish that relationship, once you receive that new title, that new name, then you start fresh from that moment forward. From that moment forward, your heart has to be pure. You have a new mind, a new start, a new walk, a new way of talking from that moment forward, not the past. I repented for the past. He's no longer holding that against me because I've changed. I've turned around. I've established a new relationship, a new covenant I became a part of. God bless you and keep you.